There's a Sunny video.
Nothing feels better than winning when people are patiently waiting to see you fail. Dan, you've lost a
Wait, what?
million followers in the
Nothing better than winning when people, well, you know,
waiting to see you
patiently.
fail. Dan, you've lost a million.
I guess I can kind of feel that. I remember somebody, when like I played soccer as a kid, they used to just be screaming on the sidelines for me to get off because they wanted to play like defense or whatever, but they were trash. I mean, I wasn't good, but like I was better than them. Just like, so I got to play, and I just remember him being like, get him off the field and shit. Like,
Patiently waiting to see you fail.
and every time like I blocked a ball or whatever, I felt like money.
Dan, you've lost a million
I was like, I did that. What are you doing over there?
followers in
Huh?
the
What
last
you
12
doing?
months, seen your stock
Hey, keep
price
it down,
plummet
Pip.
so low you had
Like,
to
come on,
take
man.
it off the stock exchange, and now spend the rest of your time copying Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
Jesus, that man is massive these days. Holy shit, he's like a whole cushion. He's sitting in the middle, so it's hard to tell, but he's like a whole cushion.
Now spend the rest of your time copying
Jesus.
Andrew Tate
Yeah, we're gonna start a website called Sigma Society.
while rambling about politics on Twitter. This is basically the definition of failure, and here's exactly how it happened. Dan Bilzerian took his company Ignite public at a price of $2.50 per share back in January 2019, a time at which his career was going perfectly. His Instagram was gaining 400,000 followers per month, he was living in a $65 million mansion, and most importantly, everybody believed that his lifestyle was real. That would be until July 2020, 18 months after Ignite started, when Dan fired Ignite's vice president, who then sued Dan Bilzerian for unfair dismissal, in the process completely exposing his phony business model. For starters, the lawsuit explained that Dan Bilzerian hadn't actually paid $65 million for his mansion, but the property was rather rented for $2.4 million per
Jesus.
year. On top of this, it was shown that
Jesus.
Bilzerian paid for the travel
Fucking
expenses
hell.
of the rotating cast of models that permanently accompany Bilzerian wherever he goes, despite Dan consistently stating that the girls were there voluntarily.
Wait, he paid 2.4 mil for a house and then paid hundreds of thousands for women?
Consist
Is that what you just said?
paid for the travel
Thousands.
expenses of the rotating cast of models that permanently accompany Bilzerian wherever he goes, despite Dan consistently stating that the girls were there voluntarily.
What the fuck? Bro, I actually seen Dan Bilzerian when he was coming up. When, like, the era he's talking about. His house, I remember he had, like, a vlog channel, and he tried to sell CBD or something. Like, I remember, 15, 16, 17, that was definitely, like, high school, middle school days. I remember seeing this guy trying to sell weed. Not weed, but he made it seem like it was weed, weirdly. That's one thing I remember on, like, his videos, was that he made CBD seem so strong. I was like, yo, what's this guy smoking? Yeah, I was remember also the ladies. And that house that he's talking about, the one I think he's talking about, when I would watch the videos, I remember that house was empty as fuck. Like, yeah, there was a bunch of girls, but the girls would literally just all be in the same area. And if not, they were like set up to be there for the video. Like, I remember one time he did a house tour or something, and there was girls like all over the, like, one in the gym, one in like the little movie theater or whatever, and they were just all sitting there with like iPads or some shit. And I was like, man, this is a nice house for all of them, but bro, there's only fucking like 10 people here. Like, what?
These girls to come.
Bro, what do you need all this space? Like,
that-
the fuck?
Okay.
Bro, he could have bought a house for 2.5 mil that looked pretty nice and still had ladies in it. Like,
So
That's the big misconception,
yeah, I'm
right?
addressing that on my app.
However, the craziest part of the lawsuit outlined Dan's strange expenses, including $75,000 on a paintball field, $40,000 on a rock climbing wall, $60,000
hey, now so far, hey, these are very reasonable expenses. Everything else makes no fucking sense. Wait, 50,000 bed frame. Okay, hold on a second. All right, everything besides a vault. What the fuck does he need a vault for? His guns? Maybe his Star Wars gun set. All right, we'll say the vault is for the gun set, so it's okay. But what do you? 50K on a bed frame.
gun set, $31,000 on
Oh, bed frame, bro. A bed frame. The fuck? Who gives a shit about a bed frame, yo? What is that gonna do for me? What? Is a bed frame gonna make me sleep better at night? Fuck no, it's just gonna make me sleep higher at night, and I can do that by taking a fucking blinky, bro.
Pool renovations.
Like, oh, you spending 50K on a fucking
50,000 on a
blink?
bed frame, 15,000 on a ping pong table, and 88,000 on a vault, just to name a few. It was also stated that some business expenses charged to Ignite were for household items, groceries, and luxury yacht rentals, with a different former employee stating Ignite pays for everything. Models, events, yachts. Dan would just have it wrapped with the Ignite logo, and all of a sudden it was an Ignite expense, and he would send them the bill. Pools, trampolines, the employee added. His personal events that had nothing to do with the business.
A business
Dan responded by stating, some journalist said Ignite was funding my life. Bitch, I've been going hard for 10 years and been famous for going hard for 7. I started Ignite 2 years ago, raised around 100 mil, and I own the majority of the company, suck my dick.
Didn't he have like a famous dad or something? I think I remember something. Like I said, I've done a little research into this before 2020. Like it was like high school years. And if I remember correctly, he had a pretty like well-off dad, like a very well-off dad who went to jail, I think, and he ended up getting a bunch of his money. I think the times he's talking about, the last 3 years, where people claim he started using Ignite, is actually true. Because I think he was using his dad's money, and then he opened his company, and doing what everybody said, he started writing shit off, or started putting bills on the fucking company, and then the company went straight crashed.
Though his arrogant response failed to dismiss anything, especially the company's atrocious financial reports. Dan had spent a total of $69 million during Ignite's first year in business, which was offset by only $9.7 million in sales. Given the previously mentioned lawsuit explained how terribly this money was spent, Ignite's stock price plummeted by almost 90%, from $2.50 to a low of 28 cents in October.
He could have bought something cooler. Like he was on a rampage of buying cool shit. Paintball field, fuck yeah. Rock climbing wall, fuck yeah. Star Wars gun set. I'm not even the biggest Star Wars fan, and I say fuck yes. 31,000. Well, you know the pool needs renovations. If depending on the pool renovations, this is probably dumb as fuck, Bill. It might just be like someone spilled a pina colada in the fucking filter, which would be devastating. But you know, it is what it is. So it is what it is. You know, pay the 30K. And 50,000 on a bed frame. How can you say that? How can you do that without saying it and fucking like trip up on paying for it? Fuck that.
The lawsuit explained how terribly this money was spent. Ignite's stock price plummeted by almost 90%, from $2.50 to a low of 28 cents in October 2020. As the media began to report on Dan's losses, he'd respond by stating, Uber is worth $80 billion. It has never had a profitable month since it started, and it lost over $5 billion in one quarter last year. However, Ignite's financial losses weren't even the worst part. Ignite only had an audience because of Dan's extravagant life, which as a result of the lawsuit had been exposed as rented. His lifestyle was once mysterious and intriguing, but it lost its edge as soon as people realized it was just another business. On top of this, the whole mega rich guy on Instagram shtick was cool in 2014, but by 2020 everybody knew it was complete baloney, which began to reflect in Dan's Instagram statistics. In May 2020, Dan almost completely stopped posting to Instagram, and by the end of the year he'd begun to lose followers. In the meantime, the media speculated that he'd soon fall for bankruptcy, to which Dan clapped back by tweeting a skeleton with the caption, or the dumbass journalist patiently waiting for Ignite to go bankrupt. Dan was right, Ignite wasn't filing for bankruptcy, but that didn't mean that things were going well. After losing $69 million in 2019, Ignite lost a further $19.7 million in 2020, during which the media released another strange detail. Dan Bilzerian's dad was supposedly running Ignite from behind the scenes. Now this was a problem for one main reason. Paul Bilzerian was a convicted felon who was illegally prohibited from participating in publicly traded companies. He'd spent a year in jail for fraud in the 90s, leading Dan to pretend that they weren't that close.
I talked to him probably 4 or 5 times a year.
However, according to one article, Paul Bilzerian has taken a less shadowy role within the company, sending thousands of emails between himself and other top executives at Ignite. This was only speculation at the time, but if Paul was in fact running the company, he was starting to do something right. Ignite. Despite losing 19.7 million in 2020, Ignite actually recorded a profit in their final quarter, leading Dan to tweet, Ignite announces a profitable fourth quarter. I guess the press and the dumb YouTubers were wrong, shocking, the reason for which being explained in a Forbes article. For one, Ignite cut costs, slashing a promotional budget by nearly 75%. Pandemics meant fewer parties, and for Ignite that meant a chance to profit. As economic conditions improved in early 2021.
Wait, man went from like he couldn't do anything because of COVID, and he started making a profit because shit sells and he can't spend the money. And he's like, look, we make money.
The price of Dan's stock began to
Yeah, we are profitable,
recover
man.
rapidly, quadrupling
That's crazy.
from
The only reason they were profitable is because he didn't get to spend money. Like, it sounds like he only got to spend 25% of it.
28 cents
Which, if you're talking to millions, is a lot. But to him, that's fucking nothing.
per share in October 2020 to $1.13 only 1 year later. In the process, Ignite increased its revenue from 16.9 million in 2020 to 78.8 million in 2021, at which point Dan made the claim that he wanted to sell the company.
$2 billion would be nice.
2 billion for what?
However, the chance of achieving this kind of money began to look unlikely as the value of Dan's company began to fall off a cliff. The recovery made by Dan in 2021 was completely reversed throughout 2022, owed in part to one particular incident. The SEC is suing Ignite Brands Ltd for failing to produce documents as it attempts to pursue an accounting fraud investigation. According to the SEC case, SEC staff have uncovered information indicating the respondents may have filed public financial statements that include false or misleading representations regarding revenues earned and recognized in the company's fiscal year ending December 1st, 2020. On top of potentially falsifying their revenue, the suit also revealed that Ignite was under criminal investigation for something unrelated. As a result, the stock was headed toward a new record low. However, Dan was able to fix this problem by removing Ignite from the stock exchange altogether. He provided no explanation for the company's removal. However, just 2 months later, media publication MJ Biz Daily somehow managed to interview Dan Bilzerian's dad, who said he is now serving as an unpaid advisor to his son's company.
Say a fucking thing. We already know.
We know. Was unavailable to comment. He'd state there is no reason to have a public company unless you intend to raise capital from public markets. Before going on to state, though Ignite was publicly traded, about 90% of the company's shares are owned by Dan and friends. Dan likely thought that as a public figure, he should have a public company, although this structure provided no real benefit and instead delivered unwanted attention from governing bodies and the media. Despite this, it was
that, dude. How is that even a thought? Bro, can't you? There's like a double standard to that. There's no way he didn't think of that. Well, I wouldn't say no way, but that's wild. This man, like, he'd been in, bro. Like I said, he was doing this shit when I was in high school, which doesn't mean like he's certified social media guru. But like, man, you'd hope that if he somehow stuck around for like another half a decade, that he'd figure out like, shit, dude. The internet's kind of fickle, like the way, or not fickle. I guess. Cyclical, transformative, mutational. You know, there's like, the internet changes. Like, yeah, they might support you, but like, especially in this case where he's doing some out of pocket shit, and like a lot of his fan base was probably people of my age. Like when I was coming up, like I wasn't a fan, but I found him because I was in the weeds of all that shit. Like, Instagram was new when I was in middle school. It was like, or high school. It was like, that was the new shit. Like, there was no TikTok. It was like, you were looking for this shit. Like, it popped up. And, like, at that time, I'd say it's like, it's a little less than, like, TikTok's. Like, this, I feel like this happens on TikTok quite a bit. And this is like why people don't go public with a lot of their shit. Because they've realized that, man, while I do give a lot of content, like, people are also looking to do some of the things you do, which is like trolling, pranking, looking for a laugh, a gaff, a goof, and it's like, shit, they'll do it any way they can, even if it fucks with your money. Because even, almost especially if it fucks with your money, because that shit is like, bro, that's so funny to some people, because, I don't know, in a way, I get it and I don't get it, because, like, they're doing it because there's so much trust you just in lie. And some of them may not fuck with you already, so it's like, all right, fuck it. Look, this is my moment. I can fuck with him. Or it's somebody who fucks with you who's just like trying to see if they can fuck the system. Like it's just like very shifty situation, which is why I feel like FaZe didn't do this shit. Because FaZe had the opportunity, and out of everybody who could have done it at first, FaZe made sense. But when they finally did it, it was a mess because like the whole fucking like company was a mess. They sold it off to people who didn't give a shit. And so it was in hands of people who didn't give a shit. Like, while people care about the brand, at that point, when it's, like, in the hands of somebody they don't give a shit, they're just gonna troll it. They're just like, you know what? Fuck it. It is what it is.
But no real benefit, and instead delivered unwanted attention from governing bodies and the media.
So that's kind of what happens here.
Despite this, it was reported in March 2023 that Dan was still refusing to cooperate with governing bodies, and while Ignite's privatization means its income is no longer public, it doesn't really seem as though business has improved. Dan recently bragged on Ignite's Instagram by stating, best-selling vapes in South America, although the very top comment was, bro, I love you, but I never seen anyone smoking that. Ignite's Twitter page gets about 30 likes per post. The company's official TikTok page has under 4,000 followers, while Dan Bilzerian's personal social media isn't looking so healthy either. His main Instagram page is losing 100,000 followers per month, owed in part to his complete inactivity, only uploading every once in a blue moon. When he does post, all of the most popular comments state, so sad you have to pay for having ladies around you, haha, lol, such a sad life, and I don't know why I still follow this dude. In January 2021, Bilzerian was asked, Dan, why are you barely active over Instagram recently? To which he'd respond with, cause I just finished the 25th edit of my book, it's finally done. Yet Dan failed to return to Instagram after the book's release. However, only a couple of months ago on the Skinny Confidential podcast, Dan gave an updated explanation for why he'd
like Christian, oh, what the fuck? The man looks like he wants to be Christian Bale.
quit everything.
I just don't care. Like, I feel like social media is like a video game I beat like 8 years ago, and I'm like, everybody's playing the same game. I'm like tired of playing it. Like, I look at social media like a cancer. Like, to me, I think it's the worst thing to be happening to society. So I just like...
He beat it. He beat social media.
It just cringe to perpetuate that problem.
Dan seems quite resentful over his social media career and is perhaps sick of being hated. However, I can't imagine his next venture.
Yeah, I was gonna... Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't sound like he beat it. It almost sounds like... And not that this is a bad thing. It sounds like it beat him. Like, did he beat social media? I guess in a sense he did. Like I said, when I was in middle school and high school, this guy was everywhere. He was massive. So, like, in a sense, he did win, like, a lot. He was in a big spotlight. But it was all, like, so controversial. Like, you still don't know where the money came from. You still don't know if the company was doing this. That, like, Sunny didn't really go into it. There's some other videos that kind of go into it. But, like, this shit goes kind of deep. Like, there's even more behind the scenes of, like, shit with his dad and whatnot. And it's kind of crazy. It's like... So that's why it's kind of hard to say if he beat social media, because like while he was big, he had the tools to go big. Like he had everything going for him. It was like kind of like a Liver King situation. Like he had all the materials to get him where he needed to go. Like he could pay for the ladies. He had the hookup for the boats. He had his dad for the money, all that shit. And yeah, so I guess in a sense, like you get that, like you get to that destination, but he definitely got beat down by the community. Like, they plummeted his fucking stock, and they just shit on his Instagram every day. So I wouldn't say he's beat him entirely. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. I don't really know. I don't know.
Will make that any better. After seemingly spending a bit too much time with Andrew Tate,
I think it's like a half-half. I think it's just like it is what it is. That's just kind of the game. It sounds like he grew tired of the game, and, you know, the game grew. Because the game did grow. Like, there's so many more people on social media, there's so many eyes, and there's so many, like, different opinions. So people have different opinions on him versus, like, when he came up. So now I think it's more of just, like, a bittersweet gone. Like, I think his moment may just be, like, besides just, like, his moment being gone, I feel like his moment in his head is gone. Like, he just, you know, it's like, fuck it, man. It's just, like, I've already done this. It's, like, it's the same shit but bigger, and it's even crazier with how people try to beat down. Like, he realizes there's more people trying to beat him down. It's like, is it even fucking worth it? Like, I already did all this shit, had the fun for like a decade. And so, like, in a sense, I don't know. I think it's like a half-half. It's like he won and he lost. But did he lose more than he won? Maybe.
And is perhaps sick of being hated.
Maybe.
However, I can't imagine his next venture will make that any better. After seemingly spending a bit too much time with Andrew Tate, Dan Bilzerian is working on his own alpha male course and website called Sigma Society.
The thing I'm working on right now
Alright, he lost.
is a site where it's basically gonna like teach guys kind of like how.
He lost, and he's lost.
What's that? Yeah.
Sigma?
Yeah, it's gonna like teach guys how to be guys. You know, I feel like this generation has kind of like lost that.
And while such a venture would surely find an audience, it feels like a last-ditch unoriginal money grab, which is almost always a sign of having nothing left to offer.
Alright, he lost, and he's lost. Alright, man. Well, besides, like, the goofy point there at the end, I still don't know, because it's kind of hard to tell. Because, like, I don't think he made a lot of money, but I think he had a lot of moments. He was in a limelight, and if that's what he wanted, then he won. But he also, you know, got kind of shit on, and is still getting kind of shit on. So, yeah, kind of an interesting situation.